Hello and welcome. I am so thrilled to be here. My dear friend and brilliant man, Ryan Levesque, is with us. He is in the middle of a absolutely stunning and kick-ass launch for the Ask method. And I twisted his arm to spend a couple of minutes with us chatting about why the Ask method is so important, how it applies to building masterminds, and anything else that happens to strike our fancy in the next 15 minutes or so. So welcome, Ryan. Thank you so much for being with us.
Jay, I'm super pumped to be here with you. I do have to say, though, I'm a little bit jealous because I'm here in my office right now, and I know you are in the middle of, what, a 2-month vacation? So
just to put this in perspective, and gang, if you're watching this, this is how important I believe this is that I'm in the middle of a 2-month vacation. I had a promise with my family I would not do anything like this, and I had to renegotiate because I really wanted to spend a little bit of time emphasizing what I think a tremendous opportunity this is and how it can change people's life and business. So they're down at the Busker Festival in Victoria, and I snuck away to do this. But gang, that's how important I think this is that I'm taking time away from my family. I'd promised not to, and I had to renegotiate and do a little bribery with my boys to actually share this with you. So Ryan, I only want to ask you a couple of questions.
Sure.
But before I do that, because not everyone who's watching this is going to know why I think this is so important. So I just want to talk about that for a bit.
Sure.
So our core program, which is called LEAD, Accelerate Your Influence and Your Income, which is our mastermind training program. Your book, Ask, has been a part of the curriculum of that program. And I have, I don't know the exact number, but I would wager that I have bought and given away about 100 copies of that book.
Wow.
65 of which are in to LEAD members. So number one, I'm a big raving fan. Number two, I got a chance to come and actually see a bunch of the work that you guys are doing through the Ask intensive, which was freaking phenomenal. I was so impressed with that. We did our first deep dive survey, got tons of information back, and my team keeps sending me notes on what we're doing with that data, which I truly appreciate. And you are taking what I think is a really complex, on the one hand, in terms of doing it well, and super simple on the other hand. It's like, for crying out loud, let's ask our clients what they want. Process into an epic training program that, honest to goodness, if you're watching this, I believe you should buy. And if you are in any sort of business, the assumptions most of us make about clients are inherently wrong, or at least filtered through our prism that they're not exactly right. So my first question is, how the hell did you come up with this incredibly simple yet complex idea? What was the inception of Ask?
Gosh, the inception is, and I really appreciate that introduction. That's really, really kind of you, Jay. The inception is like most of us, right? We all stand on the shoulders of giants, right? And naturally, I'm not someone who even claims to have invented online surveys or online quizzes or anything like that. But for me, the journey started about 10 years ago when I came across the work of someone I consider to be one of my most important mentors, Dr. Glenn Livingston. And Dr. Glenn Livingston is a PhD psychologist who has a background in statistical surveys. And he took the methodology from academia. He comes from academia. And he took that methodology and started applying it online. The challenge that he ran into in trying to bring this out to the masses is he's a genius, right? And he's a PhD level psychologist with a brilliant mathematical mind. And his methodology is so powerful. And it's he was the first person that I came across that I truly believed that his methodology worked. And so it gave me the confidence to leave my job. I was working a full-time job, leave my job and dive in as an entrepreneur. And I executed the methodology that he taught, took my first business from nothing to $25,000 a month. Along the way, I started learning things myself and applying nuances and changing and adapting and optimizing. Launched my next business, took it to $500,000 a year using an evolved form of that methodology. And then people started taking notice around what I was doing. I was participating in masterminds, very similar to the ones that you run, and kind of just sharing what I was doing. And people started approaching me and saying, hey, Ryan, can you apply this? It wasn't called it at the time, but can you apply this Ask method to my business? And so I started partnering with other businesses, and I would get paid a large upfront fee plus a retainer and a royalty on the sales that we generated. through that process, I entered 23 different markets, ranging from, companies that we all know, one of the largest skincare companies in the world, the number 2 satellite TV provider in the United States, to lesser known companies in spaces like golf and business funding and tennis instruction and all these different spaces. And just kind of spent the last decade of my life obsessed over implementing this methodology. And 4 years ago, I had a moment in my life that changed my life forever. And you know this, but I got really sick. My first son was just born. He was 6 months old. I started getting really sick. And I found out about the severity of the sickness when my wife insisted that I apply for life insurance. And the life insurance application came back denied. Yeah. And I just turned 30 years old, and I go to the doctors, and they do blood work to see if the lab results from my life insurance exam were in fact true. I thought they had mixed up the lab results with someone else. But the results came back, and, I Googled what they meant, and, on Google, it was,
never Google an illness ever. You'll be dead in the morning, no matter what you have.
Yeah. I mean, it was kidney failure, renal system shutdown, and pancreatic cancer.
Dear God.
And when I saw the doctor that next day, and they did the blood work, rushed me to the hospital, and basically said I should be in a coma. I spent about 10 days in ICU, and basically my renal system had shut down. So my pancreas stopped working, my kidneys were failing, and I lost a ton of weight. I was peeing blood. I couldn't see, it wasn't like red blood, but there was blood in my urine. Things were really bad. And I came back from that experience and kind of said, all right, well, what do I want to do with my life, right? There's no better way to come to terms, to figure out, to light a fire under your butt, than to come to terms with your own mortality. And I'd made a lot of money. I'd made millions of dollars implementing this ask method, as it wasn't yet called, in all these different markets, but I didn't feel like I had made really like an impact, right? And I was a dad now, and I wanted to leave something to my children and set an example. And I've got 2 sons now. And, I walked away from that experience, and I said, what lights me up? What drives me? What do I love more than anything else? And how can I make the biggest impact in the world? And the answer was to teach this methodology that, had generated so much wealth for me, for my family. And, I came out of the shadows from being this kind of behind the scenes secret weapon that, frankly, these companies did not want to know, did not want the world to know existed. Right. Sure. And went from generating, really, by most standards, pretty substantial results, generating over 100,000 email subscribers daily, using this methodology. And all in all, I did about $100 million in sales. People see those numbers and they say, well, Ryan, why are you doing what you're doing? That's not $100 million in my bank account. That's I get paid royalties on those sales. So anywhere from 2.5% to 7.5% royalties. You can do the math. It's still millions of dollars, but it's not $100 million. Made a pivot in my life and said, I want to teach this. So that's what drives me. That's how I came across the methodology, how we evolved to where we are today, and really why I'm doing what I'm doing. My goal is simple, Jay. It's to transform the lives of 10,000 entrepreneurs, period. That's my thing. That's like my big life mission. And
with how I understand the launch is going, that should be like tomorrow afternoon, shouldn't it?
We open up enrollment for our Ask Method Masterclass on Monday. And we've, in the last, day and a half, we've added between 600 and 700 students into the program in just a few days, which is, it's really exciting. It's humbling, right? Because I know, and you know this, and you take great responsibility. Like when someone comes into your world, I know you, and you really feel responsible for that person's success and really making sure everything they've trusted you. Like you're the guy that they've trusted. And I take that very seriously. Like someone makes this type of investment, I take it really seriously. I've got an entire team of people behind me. I've got 14 Ask Method specialists that their entire full-time job is to be inside this program, work with students in the program, and coach them through the process. And so, I'm a big believer in mentorship, in masterminds like you teach, and in coaching. Yeah. And so this program, I know a lot of people in your world might be familiar with the book. They might have the book, but let's face it, like how many books do we have? I have a lot of books. They just sit on my shelf. Like I open them up, I read a few pages. Maybe I read it cover to cover.
Yeah.
But how much do I really actually implement? Not a whole lot, right?
You know what? I just want to jump on that because, and to see if I can do this. There we go. I want to jump on that because I want to actually acknowledge your team. So I would say my greatest strength is I am an implementer. So I manage what I take in so that I'm not overwhelmed. And then what I take in, I do my damnedest to implement. So when I came to your Ask Intensive, we had just done our first deep dive survey, and I had my first bucket survey, which I actually had programmed almost 5 months before. And in my brain, I'm walking in because I want to, I want to sort of polish it up a little bit and get the darn thing done. And I spent, goodness gracious, I bet you it wasn't 15 minutes with one of your specialists who went through my questions, and he cut my number of questions in half. He subtly rephrased all of the other questions. I'm not talking about like a new question. I'm talking about change like 3 words, and it's like, oh, that makes way more sense. And so I just want to emphasize this idea that even if you are a good implementer, as frankly, I think it's my single and greatest strength. Like that's it. It's like choose what I want to do and work my ass off at it. And I was dedicated to this. Even if you are a good implementer, the experience, perspective, wisdom, and the epic amount of testing that you and your team does, to me, just makes this one of those things that don't try and do it on your own. I'm not the dullest knife in the drawer, and had I published the quiz that I had done, I would not have been happy. So anyway, I just want to emphasize, I know how good your team is, and it was game changing in 15 minutes for me, for crying out loud.
I'm glad you brought that up. It's, the analogy that I think is really helpful is just think about the last nice meal you had with your wife, right? Or your spouse or loved one, or, whomever, right? You went out for a nice meal and you walk away and you say, that was a really good meal. We should try making that at home. Now,
sorry. Now, my wife and we never do that.
When I say you, I maybe not you, Jay. Someone listening to this, right? Pretend the last time, if you're listening.
I'm totally with you. It's just that
I don't either. I'm same boat as you. But it's kind of like there's an interesting parallel there, right? You imagine going to a nice meal. You've tasted the meal. You've seen the entire meal. You know exactly what it looks like, what it tastes like, what it smells like. You've seen the whole thing. Yet you go home and you try to implement on your own and create it, and it doesn't quite taste the same. Mm-hmm. I think that is akin to reading a book about something, seeing something from the outside and trying to figure it out on your own. Now, I want you to imagine a different scenario. Imagine that you have this amazing meal, and the chef greets you at the table and says, why don't you join me tomorrow morning in the kitchen with me? Mm-hmm. And I'm going to teach you how to make this exact meal. I'm going to teach you all my secrets. I'm going to show you the nuances. I'm going to show you how the order of ingredients really matters. I'm going to show you how the amounts really matter in a very subtle way. If you do just a little too much or a little too little, it's going to make the dish taste terrible. Now imagine how well you can create that meal after you've had that chef, the master of his craft, in the kitchen with you, holding your hand, literally showing you exactly how to do it step by step. Yeah. And I think that's the big difference between reading a book on something like the Ask Method and being part of a coaching program that walks you through how to implement the whole process step by step and brings you in tune with all those nuances, Jay, that you're talking about that you don't notice from the outside, right? Even as a consumer, even someone who's eaten the meal, tasted the meal, seen the meal, delivered it to you on your table, even someone in that situation doesn't appreciate until you go behind the scenes into the back of the house, into the kitchen, and you see exactly how it's done.
Really well put. Really well put. So I just have to back up for a little bit as well, because I have people who are watching this who are struggling to get their first 1,000 opt-in subscribers. And you're talking about 100,000 a day. And I got to tell you, when I first heard that number, it's like, good God, that can't be right. And then, until I understood your business in terms of all of the different verticals and it was like, good Lord, that's insane. So most of my tribe are in the process of either launching masterminds, preparing themselves to build the list to create more influence with a potential mastermind target. Can you talk to us a little bit about, because I know you've done it, number one, but can you talk to us a little bit about how you have or how you would use the ask method to really position, communicate, and fill a mastermind.
Absolutely. And what I'm doing kind of in the background here, I'm going to try to do this. I know we weren't intending on this, but this is going to be very instructional as well. So I'm just going to take my camera and you're going to see a little bit of my computer screen. So you can see my setup. I've got kind of a 3-monitor setup. I want to take you to this screen right here. What you're looking at, let's see if I can do this right. So what you're looking at, get the lighting just right. There we go.
That's great.
What you're looking at here is when you log into, trying to get the light so you can actually see this. When you log into the masterclass for the first time, you'll see at the top of the navigation, we have different tracks. We actually have a beginner track, an intermediate track, and an advanced track. And one of the big things that I teach in the Ask Method is the importance of segmentation and speaking to different segments of your audience differently and treating different segments of your audience differently. And this is really that in action. And so if you're someone who is looking to build your first 1,000 leads, there's an entire process for you, right? If you're someone who's advanced, like you heard Jay and I, we talked about those numbers, 100,000 leads a day, you're going to want to jump right to the advanced track because it's going to show you how to scale your business in a massive way. If you're just getting started though, this entire track walks you through how to generate your first 1,000 leads and your first 10,000 leads, et cetera, et cetera. So I say that from the perspective of if you are in that position where you haven't generated a massive list, this process works. Now let's talk a little bit about building a mastermind specifically. So I run a mastermind and I'm a student of yours, Jay. And I've sent people on my team to your events. I'll be speaking at one of your events and participating in one of your events, which I'm super grateful and excited about. Have it in the calendar for later this year and really excited about that. It's actually on, see, you can see my calendar here. It is on my calendar here. You can see I've got my 2-year wall calendar. So
Nice.
it's one of the things that's blocked off.
Here's a little hint while you're talking about that, gang. If you want to get closer and to know more about Ryan, is that one of our bonuses when you choose to buy the Ask Masterclass is a complimentary ticket to that event. So you'll actually get to work with him in his class and you'll get to actually see him and experience him live at our event. So that could work together well. Anyway,
I did not expect that, but that is a pretty sweet bonus. So yeah, I'd love to hang out. I'd love to help you, work with you one-on-one in person and have that opportunity to serve you. So that's really awesome. Getting to the mastermind though. So I run a mastermind as well. I have an elite entrepreneur mastermind. And what's interesting is in that group, there are, even though everyone in that group has this common thread in that we're all executing the Ask Method in some way, shape, or form, people in the group have different wants, needs, and desires, right? At a very basic level, you have 4 major types of people that are motivated by different things. So you have mastery-driven people, and mastery-driven people are always asking about the how, right? The question they ask themselves, you can, as we go through this process, this is kind of an interesting exercise because you can almost think about what type of person you are. So mastery-driven people are always asking how. How do I do it? What's the next step? How do I get this done? Purpose-driven people are always asking about the why. That's their question. Why are we doing this? What's the point? Why are we choosing to do this versus something else? They're always focused on purpose. You have connection-driven people are all about the who. The question that they ask themselves every single day are, who am I to you and who are you to me? Meaning, are we friends? Are we colleagues? Are you a mentor? Where do I stand in your ranking of friends and relationships? And then you have autonomy-driven people, and autonomy-driven people are always asking what? What-driven people, they want to know, what do I really need to do? What's the minimum? I just want to do my own thing. I just want to know what I want. And what's interesting about that is when you build a mastermind or any product for that matter, or any program, is that you have all 4 of these groups of people represented. You will have a bias, most likely, toward the group of people that you're most similar to. So I'm a mastery-driven person, and so I attract a lot of mastery-driven people to my mastermind. Masterminds in general attract a lot of mastery-driven people because it's how mastery-driven people connect with other colleagues. But as you think about building a mastermind, you could very easily run a survey to your audience to figure out who is what type, and then design the mastermind to make sure that you have elements of it, which is what you teach, that appeal to all those different segments. So you might have one product, just like we do. We have one Ask Method Masterclass. but because we know there are different segments of people in our world, we tailor the product to those different groups. So for example, we have a bonus and a track for people who have not chosen their market yet. We teach people how to choose their market. That's one segment of our audience, people literally just getting started.
Brilliant.
An entirely different segment is people who they implement marketing work for other clients. So we have an entire track. If you're intending on implementing Ask for your clients, how to do that. Now, for most people, that's irrelevant, right? It's not relevant because, if you're listening to this now and you're saying, well, I don't want to implement this for anyone else. I just want to do this for my business. Cool. Well, you can ignore that part, right? So when you're thinking about building your mastermind, you really want to know what that makeup is. And that's just one way to break things down, right? You would also want to know where people are in terms of the growth of their business. If you have a business-focused mastermind, if you have a health-focused mastermind, same thing. You want to know where they are in their health journey so you can appeal to the different segments in your group. Have one product. So it's not about having 5 different masterminds. You can still have one mastermind. You can find ways to appeal to these different segments. And that's what the Ask method is all about. It's all about finding out exactly what your customers really want before they even know what they want themselves. And the nuance there, Jay, as you alluded to, is it's people say, is it simple? Well, you just ask people what they want and give it to them, right? The problem with that is that people don't know what they want. Like, we don't know what we want. And if you've ever hired someone on your team, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The first time that you hire someone for a position, what do? You're like, I think this person should do this, 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 and this. But once you fire that first person and replace them with someone else, you sure as hell know what you want in that next one. I don't want them to be like this. I don't want them to be like that. I don't want to be like that, right? We know what we don't want, but we're not really good at knowing what we do want. So that's just one example of one of the nuances to the Ask method in terms of the types of questions you need to ask when you're thinking about building your mastermind to figure out how you should structure it and how you should tailor it to what your audience truly needs.
Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. So I want to just, where did I put that? I thought that I had, here we go. I'm going to just share this. So somebody sitting at home, or did I do that incorrectly?
I've got a white screen. I've got a Google screen.
Do you? Okay. I have, there we go. So the registration page. So I just want people to really understand and to get what's going on. So the registration page, it's only 2 days. Like the launch is over in 2 days. The program gets moving and shaken. All of those pieces. By the way, I want to point out, I don't know if people can actually see this, but I totally love that your background had Lego that your kids made. That was my favorite thing of this whole video, just to be clear. Maybe it's because I'm
glad you have your priorities straight. That's great.
It might just be the fact. And I don't know if I can show, no, I was going to say there's a whole table here of Lego behind me.
That's awesome.
But
that's what I do that's our quality time. Every night we do Lego. It's just our thing as a family.
I love it. I love it. So there are 2 ways for people to buy fundamentally. The top of the list is, of course, they can get the simple program. Do you want to give the super fast, like, highlights, and I know that there are people that might be interested in the in-person thing as well. Are there any of those spots left? Can you just give me a second rundown?
Looking at this needs to be updated. We definitely have a few spots left. I don't know how many at this time, because literally we're accepting applications as we speak. So fundamentally 2 large versions. So the one that Jay, that you did, as you know, was the live in-person intensive. That's a $10,000 investment. It includes access to all of the online masterclass and coaching materials. It also gets you access to work with me and my team privately in a small group setting at my headquarters here in Austin, Texas. And that is by application only. And it's a refundable application. And the reason why we do it by application is it's really important to me that this is a good fit for you. And so, like, for example, we'll make sure that there are no direct competitors of yours inside the room, because I want to be able to have an open fully candid dialogue with you there. So it's just really uncomfortable if you have a competitor. I also want to make sure that you're going to get an ROI on the investment. If you're just getting started in your business right now, it's not appropriate. If you have an established, successful business, then it's a great option to consider. Most people will opt for the online masterclass program. And
Ryan, our audio just went a little goofy there for a little bit on my end. So I just stopped the screen sharing. I don't know if that was causing it or not. But I thought
how's my audio now?
It's better.
Yeah, I'm losing there's a little delay, I think, now as well.
Okay. I'm not sure what we can do about that, but
I think it's tightening back up.
Okay.
Tightening back up.
So long and the short of it is
this. A little bit off.
Yeah. And we only got a moment or two left here anyway. So the long and the short of it is this, is that if they wanted to step up and play at a higher level, that would certainly be a possibility. I want to tell people, and that page, by the way, if they just go to askmethod.com/J, and by the way, the link will be on the bottom of the page, or you can just click on that. Don't worry about it. But I do want you guys to also know as well that we have, I want to let people know a couple of our bonuses. The first of which is the ticket to attend the Mastermind to Millions live event in December, where Ryan will be speaking. So that's like, off the hook, very, very, very good. And that's a $997 value. In addition to that, my business partner Joshua does this thing called the Facebook Freedom Formula. That's a $997 offer as well. You get that. We're putting in something called business models that work, because one of the things that I love about the Ask Method is we get to find out what people really want, but you still need to build a business model that reflects you and your life. That's $997. Plus, we did seductive sales systems, another $997 offer. So what I want people to recognize and understand is that basically there's an additional $4,000 of offers that are some of our very best work under the sun. And it is just a simple yes, in my humble opinion. And it is a process I'm using. My first survey will be up the second I get home and have the videos edited. All of the programming is done. And by the way, we didn't even talk about, there's a whole software piece behind this that is included in this. This is not just training program. You get a piece of software that, I don't know if you even sell it separately, but I think it's a $1,000 piece of software from my perspective.
Yeah, you get access to the, basically a year of coaching. And when I say coaching, like truly coaching, you get a year's access to the software, and the software alone, is a $1,200 a year value. The coaching alone is, it's priceless. You get access to, we have an online community called the Next Level Mastermind Community. It's not a mastermind in the sense that you teach in terms of like a smaller live in-person group. That's $2,400 a year, and people are paying that, and we're including that.
Well, I'm paying that
really for free, plus all the bonuses. Yeah, it's a group that you guys are part of as well.
Yeah.
So it's we've tried to make it as much of a no-brainer. Like, I'll say this because I know our time is short. My big goal for this year is simple. You heard me say my big number goal, 10,000 entrepreneurs, and our theme for this year is 2 words: success stories. That's it. It's not about maximizing profit. I have more than enough money coming in to pay the bills. My family, we're taken care of. Like, we're fine. What I'm investing in, that's why I've hired such a large team to support this. I've got a 14-person staff just for this program alone. Not my entire company, just for this program alone. The reason why I've invested in that is because my goal is simple. I want you to be, if you're watching this, I want you to be successful. Like, I'm investing as much as I can in your success. And I'm doing this obviously because it's going to serve me in the long run, but I play a very long game. I know 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, it's going to pay off because we're going to have thousands of success stories. And I want you to be one of them. I want you to, be like Ron, who went from 0 to 6 figures in 12 months, or Peter, who joined the masterclass, was totally skeptical and generated 9,000 email subscribers from scratch in 10 weeks. Like 9,000, you build a list of 9,000 people in the 10-week workshop. I want you to be the next Peter, the next Ron, the next Sage. I want you to experience that. And so I'm committed. Like, this is my thing, and I'm 100% committed to anyone who's in the program. And, it's an honor to be able to introduce it to your audience, Jay. And I'd love to, have anyone in your world to be part of this as well. Because I think it's so country to 1 equals 3 scenario.
Beautiful. All right, gang. Our internet is getting wiggy, so I'm going to say, number one, if if you're scaling a business and you have clients you care about, click the damn button, join the Ask Method, join me, join Joshua, join a ton of our tribe who are applying this at a level that will make a monumental difference. Enjoy our bonuses. Come play with us in December. Ryan, I know you're swamped right now. I really appreciate you making time for this. Go take care of yourself and your throat and all those pieces. And for the rest of you, come join us in the Ask Masterclass. You will absolutely love it. Have a great day. We'll talk soon. Click the button. Bye.
Awesome. Thanks. Bye.